10 minutes before boarding. That's when it happened. A woman, 68 years old, traveling to see her grandkids for the holidays, was standing at the gate. Everything was fine. She had her boarding pass, her carry-on, her whole trip packed and ready. And then a gate agent pointed at her bag and said 4 words she wasn't expecting. "We need to check that." Not her checked luggage, her carry-on, the bag with her blood pressure medication, her thyroid pills, the insulin she'd kept refrigerated since 5 a.m. that morning. She had about 90 seconds to decide, leave the bag and the medications or miss the flight. Here's the thing. This is happening at airports all over the country right now. Airlines are gate-checking bags at a rate nobody warned us about. And most of us, me included for years, are packing our medications in exactly the wrong place. I'm going to show you where to put them, and I'm going to walk you through every TSA medication rule that actually matters in 2026, including one that almost nobody gets right, and it can cost you far more than a missed flight. Stay with me. I've been flying for over 30 years. I travel with 4 prescription medications. Nothing dramatic, just the stuff that comes with getting older. Blood pressure, cholesterol, a sleep aid when I need it. And I'll be honest, for most of those 30 years, I just threw everything in a sandwich bag and hoped for the best. What I know now, I wish someone had told me a decade ago. So that's what this video is. Here's what we're covering. The actual TSA rules for 2026, including exemptions most people don't know exist. The packing mistake that nearly every traveler makes. What to do when a TSA agent tries to take something they shouldn't. The free tools TSA built that almost nobody uses. And, because a lot of you are heading abroad, a warning about medications that are completely legal here and will get you detained at customs in another country. Let's start with the rules because there's been real confusion lately, and some of it is costing people money. You probably think all your liquids, including medications, have to fit in that little quart-size bag with the 3.4-ounce limit. That is not true for medications, and this one misconception causes more stress at the checkpoint than almost anything else. Here's what TSA actually says in 2026. Pills and tablets, no quantity limit. Bring as many as you need, plus extra in case your flight gets canceled. They go through the X-ray scanner like everything else. That's fine. Liquid medications, completely exempt from the 3.4-ounce rule. Insulin, liquid blood pressure medication, prescription eye drops, full-size bottles, no quart bag required. This includes a lot of over-the-counter medications too. Saline solution, Dayquil, hydrocortisone cream, even pain gels like Icy Hot. Medically necessary, exempt. Ice packs for medication, allowed frozen or thawed. The frozen-only rule doesn't apply when the ice pack is for medication. Now, here's one I want to call out because it surprises people every time. Most travelers assume that if they have a CPAP machine, it counts as their carry-on bag. It doesn't. Legally, under DOT rules, medical devices don't count against your bag allowance. Airlines sometimes push back on this anyway, but knowing the rule means you can push back too, politely, and ask for a supervisor. And devices attached to your body, insulin pumps, glucose monitors, you do not have to remove them. Not at the scanner, not at the gate, not anywhere. I'll cover exactly what the checkpoint looks like in a few minutes. Imagine this. You've packed everything carefully, you get to security, and an officer tells you your prescription liquid is too large. You hand it over because you're not sure what the rule actually is. That medication cost you $340 for a 30-day supply. It's gone, and you're 2 hours from home. Knowing the exemption and being ready to say it out loud is the difference. Now, quick question. Have you ever had TSA try to take something you were pretty sure they shouldn't? Tell me in the comments. I'll tell you what to do about it in just a few minutes. Okay. This is the section I most want you to remember. Airlines are gate-checking carry-on bags on almost every full flight now. You board, the overhead bins are already full, an agent asks you to hand over your bag. It goes into the cargo hold. You don't see it again until baggage claim. Here's what most people don't think about. Cargo holds are not climate-controlled the same way the cabin is. In summer, temperatures can exceed 130 degrees Fahrenheit down there. In winter, they can drop below freezing. And here's the thing that no one says out loud. Some medications permanently lose effectiveness after just a few hours at those temperatures. Insulin, certain biologics, some thyroid medications. Once the cold chain breaks, it doesn't come back. You can't tell by looking at the bottle. You just have a medication that no longer does what it's supposed to do. And if the bag gets lost, which happens more than airlines like to admit, you could be waiting 24 to 72 hours for it to turn up without your medication. Here's the rule that fixes all of this. Your medications go in your personal item, not your carry-on. Your personal item is the smaller bag, the purse, the backpack, the tote that goes under the seat in front of you. That bag never gets gate checked. It stays with you, on the plane, under your seat, the entire flight. The setup I recommend: a gallon-size Ziploc bag for all your medications. That bag goes in an outer pocket of your personal item, where you can reach it without digging. Easy to grab at security. Easy to pull out on the plane if you need something. Keep it separate from your toiletries. The TSA officer watching that X-ray screen sees hundreds of bags per hour. Medications mixed in with shampoo and toothpaste creates a puzzle that slows everything down. A dedicated clear bag is instantly readable. One more thing. This came from a pharmacist, and I thought it was smart. If you take 8 or 10 medications and the bottles are bulky, call your pharmacy before the trip and ask them to reprint your prescription labels on smaller bottles. A lot of pharmacies will do this for free. Same medication, same label, same information, just less bulk in your bag. I didn't know this existed for 25 years of traveling. Let me tell you what actually happens at security, because the rule book and real life don't always match. As you approach the scanner, you say, out loud to the officer, "I have medications in my bag." That's it. Not a list of everything you take, not a medical explanation, just, "I have medications." Most of the time in a pre-check lane, they'll say, "Keep it in your bag," and wave you through. Pre-check equipment is better at reading through bags. If you fly regularly with medications, pre-check is worth the $78 enrollment fee. It genuinely changes the experience. In a standard lane, they may ask you to pull your medication bag out and put it in a separate bin. That's routine, not a red flag. Put it in, walk through, pick it up. Now, here's the thing I feel strongly about. Not every TSA agent knows these rules. This is frustrating, but it's real, and you need to know it going in. I've heard from travelers who were told their prescription liquid was too large, who were told their medication had to go in the quart-size bag, or, and this one genuinely makes me angry, who were asked to take every single pill out of every bottle and lay them in an open tray in full view of a line of strangers. You have privacy rights. You do not have to narrate your medical history to a room full of people. If an agent tells you something that contradicts what you know about TSA policy, here is the phrase that works. "May I speak with a supervisor, please?" Calm, polite, no argument. That's it. Supervisors handle this every day. 9 times out of 10, you're on your way in under 3 minutes. I want to stop for a second. Someone left a comment on another travel video I came across about her father, 87 years old, flying domestically. A short trip. He was flagged at LAX and taken to a private booth. They had him shirtless, shoeless, barely able to stand, leaning against the wall for support. She wasn't allowed to go with him. She watched through the glass. That was the last time he ever flew. He passed away at 93. I don't know every detail of what happened that day, but I know that man was not a threat. And I know that being elderly, being frail, being medicated, none of those things make you suspicious. So let me say this clearly. If you are 75 or older, you have specific rights at TSA checkpoint that are different from general screening. You do not have to remove your shoes. You can stay in your wheelchair or mobility device through the entire screening process. They will swab your hands for trace explosives. That's typically all. If you're traveling with a parent or a spouse who has mobility limitations, tell the officer before screening begins. Don't wait for something to go wrong. And if you want support from someone specifically trained for this, there's a free program. I'll close the loop on that in a minute. Here's one more thing TSA doesn't require that most people think it does. For domestic travel, your pills don't have to be in their original pharmacy bottles. A pill organizer is allowed. Loose pills in a Ziploc bag are allowed. TSA's job is to find security threats. They're not auditing your prescriptions. That said, I keep mine in original bottles anyway, and here's why. If I get delayed somewhere, if I need an emergency refill at an unfamiliar pharmacy, every piece of information that pharmacist needs is on that label. Prescription number, prescribing doctor, fill date. Without it, you're starting from scratch in a city you don't know. For controlled substances, Ambien, Adderall, opioid pain medication, original labeled bottles, always. Different states have different laws. An unlabeled controlled substance in a random bag is not a conversation you want to have in an airport. I carry a medication list, one page, folded in my wallet. Brand name, generic name, dosage, prescribing doctor's number. TSA has never once asked to see it, but I've been glad it was there when a doctor at an urgent care needed to know what I was taking. TSA also has a downloadable medical card on their website. You fill out your conditions and medications and hand it to the officer instead of explaining verbally. If you're private about your health, this is how you move through the checkpoint without a conversation. The program I mentioned earlier, TSA Cares. You call or email them at least 72 hours before your flight. A trained officer meets you at the checkpoint and personally walks you through. You do not need a diagnosed condition. I have multiple medications, and security has been stressful for me in the past is reason enough. They've worked with travelers who have PTSD, who are deaf, who move slowly, who have invisible medical conditions. The officers in this program chose it. That matters. Find it at tsa.gov. Search TSA Cares. Sign up 5 days out if you can. They'll email you where to meet. 2 more free tools. The My TSA app. No account needed. Has a Can I Bring search. Type in any medication or device and get the official TSA answer. I've heard from travelers who pulled this up on their phone right at the checkpoint when an agent gave them wrong information. It resolved the situation in under 2 minutes. Ask TSA on Facebook Messenger. Message them directly. Real person responds, usually within an hour during business hours. Good for anything unusual. A medication the standard guidelines don't clearly address. A device with specific requirements. These resources exist. They're free. Use them before your trip, not during. Now I need you to pay close attention because this section is where people get into consequences that go well beyond a delayed flight. The assumption, and I've made it myself, is that a valid U.S. prescription means you're fine wherever you go. It doesn't. And in some countries, being wrong about this can mean detention or criminal charges. Sudafed or anything containing pseudoephedrine, common cold medicine available at every drugstore. In Japan, it's illegal to bring it across the border. In Mexico, same. If customs finds it in your bag, even in the original package, they can confiscate it and charge you. Travelers have been detained for this. Adderall, Ritalin, and other ADHD stimulants banned outright in Japan and several countries in the Middle East and Asia. Not regulated, banned. A U.S. prescription is irrelevant there. Ambien, strictly controlled in Singapore. And Singapore does not give warnings. Here's the 2026 wrinkle that a lot of people don't know yet. Japan, UAE, and Singapore now require digital pre-approval for certain medications. Not just a doctor's letter, an actual online application submitted to their government, processed in advance, sometimes weeks. If you land without that approval and they find the medication, the letter from your doctor doesn't protect you. The approval has to be in their system before you arrive. For any international trip, start on the official embassy website of your destination, not a travel blog, not a forum, and search for their medication entry requirements. Many countries have online tools specifically for this. One more thing on the return trip home. Medications you purchased abroad, even the exact same drug you take at home, generally cannot be brought into the United States. That's U.S. Customs, separate from TSA. If you do carry anything back, declare it. Being honest with a customs officer is always safer than hoping they don't find it. For international travel, keep everything in original labeled pharmacy containers. A pill organizer is fine domestically. At an international customs checkpoint, unlabeled pills in a tray is a completely different situation. What do you do if TSA tries to confiscate a medication you know they shouldn't take? First, don't argue at the checkpoint. Nothing good comes from it, and it gives them a reason to pull you out of line. May I speak with a supervisor, please? Say it calmly. Show your documentation, prescription bottle, medication list, anything you have. Supervisors deal with this daily. They know the rules better than frontline agents. If it's not resolved on the spot, file a complaint with TSA after the fact. You can do it at tsa.gov. It doesn't get your medication back that day, but it creates a record. And the more records exist, the more pressure there is on training. Pull up the My TSA app if you have it. The official rule on the official app, right at the checkpoint, is harder to argue with than your word alone. Flying used to feel like something you just did. You got on a plane. It wasn't complicated. At our age, it's gotten heavier. More to carry, more to think about. And sometimes the process makes us feel like we have something to prove. Like having medical needs is an inconvenience we owe people an apology for. You don't. You're a paying passenger with legal medications and the right to travel with dignity. Know your rights. Walk in prepared. That changes the whole experience. If someone you love is traveling this year, share this with them. Not because it's my video, because this information might save them from that moment at the gate that nobody warned them about. And if you've had an experience at security with medications, good, bad, frustrating, or just plain strange, I want to hear it. Drop it in the comments. Other people are going to read what you write and know what to expect. Hit subscribe if you want to know when TSA updates its rules again, because they do, and I cover it when they do. The next video is right here. It covers what actually happens when you get flagged at security for reasons that have nothing to do with medications. Different rules, worth knowing before your next trip. See you there.